Are you not live yet? Okay. Um, you spelled Shanghai.
Good evening, everybody currently tuning into the stream. I will be your commentary host this evening. With me in the commentary booth, we have got Michael Louie, and we will be joining the boys of Southampton _F1 for their second to last race of the season here in Shanghai, and we have got a wet quali session. Should be an interesting one to see. We've got Adam Tastic in the chat saying, staring eyes, Shanghai in the wet. What's the worst that could happen, right? We will try and take a quick look at the current drivers' standings. So we have, we will start with the, yeah, we've got the Rapid Pup with a massive lead of over 100 points against his closest competitor, D Quickscopes in the Williams. So obviously Rapid Pup going to be taking that one. A bit more of a battle for second place here with Supermac just behind Quickscopes. Only 11 points separating them, and with it being wet China, DNFs could be plentiful. Would like to see Stickalando do something in the kick out, but currently only 9 points in the season. And doing anything to get into the points would bump him up quite a bit. Obviously, Swag Scopes with the South African flag. We support South African. Lekker is local. And we will dive back in and see who's doing hot laps and who's on out laps. And I'll just move that there just to keep an eye on. I believe Barn 94 could be one of the first to attempt a hot lap. Everybody opting for the wet tire, obviously.
Hello, hello, Scones, can you hear me?
Yes, and there is my co-commentator, Michael Louie.
Good, good. Just making sure everything's working. It is lovely to be here with you in the virtual commentary booth. We both participate in a different racing league as teammates. We know each other, and we've been doing a bit of commentary, and we're looking forward to seeing what a brand new league to us can come up with.
Obviously, they are, I believe, wrapping up their first season, and they'll have to do something to nerf the Rapid Pup, who is currently on a hot lap, I believe, so it'll be good to see what the Master does coming into the first turn here. Shanghai, a tricky track, even in the driest of conditions, so not ideal for any of the drivers here.
Just looking at the weather forecast, by the end of the session, the track temperature will go up and the rain will decrease. It will still be reasonably heavy rain, but I have a sneaking suspicion there will be intermediates. There will be intermediates at the end of this qualifying session, I'm pretty sure.
You know, and we do know from experience that obviously the intermediate tire is the one to go for when the track conditions allow it, far quicker than the full wet tire. Not a luxury that any of the drivers have currently, as it's basically a swimming pool out there.
Yeah, the wet tire, especially in the race, is pretty pointless. But in qualifying, you basically want to keep it on the track, and the wet tire is normally the best one to do that, especially in heavy rain conditions. Having a look at the race, it looks like it will be a completely dry race. So I assume everyone has gone out there on dry setups, which is probably why they are struggling a bit more. But that will give them the race will be completely dry. So as long as people can survive and get a few laps in, they will not have to struggle with the rain when it comes to the race.
Yeah, if I'm honest, I'm slightly disappointed at that. I was kind of hoping we'd have a wet start and then the track would dry out. That always makes for an interesting race. And I wonder if anybody's
I
opted for
mean,
a wet setup to try and get a better quality time in. But the man, the myth, the legend, the Rapid Pup setting a 148.1, a whopping 8 seconds quicker than Crippington 95 in the Scuderia Ferrari. But Swag Scopes coming in with a 150 dead. And a few drivers coming in just a little bit slower than him, but obviously the Rapid Pup seems to have the pace. But Rothwell, I'm going to call him Rothwell. I think that's what the X is doing, is replacing an O. Coming in only just shy of 0.3 slower than the Rapid Pup. So things are looking a little bit spicy here. A few drivers yet to set a lap. Now, I was warned about McNamara. I was told he's not the quickest of drivers. I wouldn't say who mentioned names. But they know who they are. And we'll keep an eye on him once he makes his way out the pit. A few drivers yet to set a lap.
generally, in a wet qualifying session, people will go out, they'll put quite a lot of fuel on, and they will do multiple laps. They'll probably invalidate their first runs because they're trying to figure out the track limits with the wet track. And they will normally, stay on the track, keep putting the laps in, and eventually they will get quicker and quicker and quicker once they build confidence.
And
So
it also
some
gives
very
a,
impressive times at the front.
it does also
Hopefully
give
they
the
will get.
track a slight chance for a dry line to start forming, but I doubt we'll see very much of that here with the rain absolutely chucking it down. As we see the Mercedes of GK Phasebot looking to make his way into the final corner. He is struggling a little bit with the lockup. Manages to get that final corner nice and clean. He's opted to not carry a lot of fuel. So that was a fast run for him, 152.9, currently the slowest in the field. As Rothwell now is our fresh pole sitter coming in 4 and a bit tenths quicker than the Rapid Pup. I suspect he's done the strategy that you mentioned, go out with a lot of fuel, get a good feel for the car and where the track's limits are with the current setup, and you'll just watch them get quicker.
Yeah, I can see that he seems to be going around getting cool down laps in, then doing a push lap. It looks like he might still be. He's either pushing to get back into the pits, or he's definitely figured out how to make the ERS work for him around the lap, because that's a very impressive time. Isn't that 6 tenths, 5 tenths ahead of the Rapid Pup so far?
Yeah, just a little bit shy of 0.5, about 4.5, but not a small margin by any way, shape, or form.
You can see there's varying degrees of confidence across the grid. You saw the Mercedes was going very slowly. The Haas's are currently one of the Haas's is the fastest car on the speed trap, so he's definitely going
Dry
for
setup.
the dry setup. Both of the Mercedes are also very quick, so they're both doing dry setups, which might explain why they are a little bit slower in this quali session, but it means that in the race they will be so much faster down the long back straight.
Ooh. Brown has just set a purple sector 1, I believe.
The thing about the track is that the more that cars go around, the more the track will come to people. They will both gain confidence, and the dry line will start to form. I can give you an update on the weather. In 8 minutes' time, it will become light rain as opposed to heavy rain. And considering there's only 9 minutes left of the session, I think the
If
fastest lap times will be in the final minute of the session.
I think
This
we'll
could
see a
get
few people
spicy.
maybe try and get a final lap in with that final minute. And we'll probably see a few changes to Inters by then. A few people on Inters already. The Rapid Pup and Lewis coming in with a 147.088, only a hundredth quicker than Rothwell with a 147.09, and the Rapid Pup, current championship winner, as he leads by 100 points, is a full second slower than position 1 and 2. Now, I was briefed before the race a few drivers to keep an eye out on as far as good drivers go. Supermac, the Rapid Pup, and Rothwell are people to keep your eye out on. And a few not-so-good drivers mentioned were McNamara, Elspons, and Buddy. I was told we're not the strongest drivers in the league. Let's go, SF1 and Scone's great commentary. Thank you, Caution Fire Warning, for the compliment. Your praise is very much appreciated.
I just want to say, with regards to the V-carbs, they are both running sort of a medium downforce setup. They're not the fastest car, but they're not the slowest car by any means. And it looks like it is giving them a lot of a much advantage in the wet, and it should mean that they're quite strong in the dry as well. This could be a good race for the RBs.
I'd like to see
At least
M-Hawk
one
get a
of them.
little bit closer to his teammate. Obviously, 10 positions and just shy of 3 seconds separates the pair.
He's diving into the pits. He might be diving in for some inter tires. I think maybe it's the crossover period might have started already.
We see a few drivers out on Inters already. Obviously, the Rapid Pup, Quick Scope, Elspons, Denny and Benny, Barn, and GK Phasebot all opting to go onto the Inters a little bit earlier than the rest of the drivers.
The first car who appears to be out on the track appears to be Quick Scopes, I believe, on the Inters.
We will take a look at him, currently going through Sector 2, I believe, in the Williams. We love a good Williams, don't we?
Wrap up the Williams boys.
Big up the Williams. Obviously, we had a hell of a race in Baku over the weekend, very eventful, and I took out somebody who is potentially going to fight you for your position.
It's team orders is very strong within our league.
It was just a racing incident. Oh, we can really see Quickscope struggling with the car here.
His first sector is on par with the leaders, but 4/10 off P2. He's gone 1.5 seconds up in the middle sector, though. I think it's starting to come to him. He's done the fastest, second fastest middle sector so far.
What's he going to look like coming down the back straight? And is he going to have the brakes coming into that really sharp right-hander? That could be the difference. Well, he does manage the brakes beautifully, keeps it nice and tidy, loses at the back end just a little bit, catches it just in time. As we can see a bit of a dry line forming. I do think Inters is the move right now for anybody currently not on the Inters. And there it is. He comes in 7/10 ahead of Lewis, who's the former pole sitter.
A very impressive lap from the Williams, and it tells everyone else on the field it is time for the Inters.
It is indeed. You're definitely... There we go. Rapid Pup in the McLaren making even shorter work of the previous fastest time, coming in 1.2 seconds ahead. I do find it interesting that, judging by the points difference between the championship standings and second place, first and second, this man could have stopped racing probably 3 races ago and still won it. I'm seeing
missed
now.
a hell of a season.
It
a hell of a
looks.
Verstappen style season.
It does
from
look that
2023.
way. But I believe first place gets 34 points, so maybe. I mean, he's basically won it anyway. And I'm guessing he's been fairly dominant. He's obviously not on a hot lap right now, but might be trying to make that Mercedes panic. GK Phasebot.
Phasebot has been a sort of a bit of a roadblock for a few different people I've noticed. I'm not sure if he's on a lap. It
I
looks like he
think
is in
he
hot lap.
is.
He's trying.
He's just really
obviously
struggling for traction
struggled.
at the minute by the looks of it.
Looks very much that way, and he's currently running almost 3 seconds off the pace of the next slowest car.
And obviously being nearly 7.5 seconds slower than P1.
This
He
lap
is
that
struggling.
he's on currently is a lot quicker than he's been, but it's still he's still struggling quite a lot.
But he is on the
Going
better
through
tire.
corners.
And he's invalidated, unfortunately, so he'll have to make a second attempt now. We'll go back on with
He's
the
got enough
lap.
time. As long as he's got enough fuel, he's got enough time.
Well, it's not flashing, so he should be able to get at least 2 laps out. He might be trying to get a feel for the car on the inters. Even though, obviously, in the race, it will be a case of dry, dry, dry. All the slicks out. Ooh, we see him. McNamara obviously yet to set a lap, but we'll go on board with him currently coming through Sector 2. Does appear to be fighting with the car, struggling a little bit even.
I can give you a bit of an update as to why the Mercedes might be struggling. He is currently fastest in the speed trap, which tells me he is on a dry setup, which would mean he is going to struggle in the wet conditions, trying to set a quali lap. But he should be quick in the race to make some overtakes.
But is it going to be enough downforce? Or is he going to struggle with some of these longer corners, the sharper ones?
We are yet to see.
Rothwell coming in 1.3 seconds ahead of the Rapid Pup. Obviously, that is going to put him on pole. I'd love to see McNamara set a competitive lap. Obviously, he was pitched as one of the weaker drivers, so I'd like to see him move up a little bit.
Let's follow him on his quali lap, going in for his final quali lap of the season of the session.
He does seem to be struggling with the car a little bit, but he is able to keep it on the dry section for the most part.
A little snap of oversteer going into turn 2, coming out of turn 3.
I mean, he does appear to be keeping it fairly tidy despite the conditions.
Keep an eye on his sectors. A 27.7 for the first sector is a bit faster than the people ahead of him. It's as fast. It could be fast enough for P10 if he can continue this form throughout the lap. I'm really struggling in this twisty section.
Do you think we'll be seeing any safety cars in the race? I think most drivers appear to be keeping it very calm, not very risk-takey.
I probably will agree with you that there is a high chance of safety cars.
Ooh, he almost invalidates the lap there. That would have been heartbreak for him, as he has yet to set a time.
The middle sector is faster than P10, so this could be a top 10. If he can keep it on the track, he's getting a tow from a Mercedes again, being somewhat in the way as we go in.
Final corner now.
A few corners.
Massive dash. He's dumping the last two. Well, that puts him in P9. Not a bad effort from McNamara. Obviously, Rothwell currently is still the pole sitter. Looks like he's having another attempt. For what purpose, man? You're 6/10 up. Have a break. Appears to be getting impeded by a Mercedes. Is that GK Phasebot impeding the current pole sitter of Rothwell? as he comes in even quicker. Tom P managed to squeeze in a halfway decent time. Obviously 7/10 quicker than slower than the pole sitter, my apologies. And the rapid pup has fallen all the way back to P8. Not that he's going to be too concerned about it. Currently sits P10. Could potentially see him move up. Obviously his teammate was P9. A few drivers have made a move up, and Lewis coming in with a 143.29, and HD Quickscopes with a 143.252, only just a hair slightly quicker than Lewis. The front of the grid is looking absolutely jam-packed now that a few drivers have been able to set a halfway decent time. Where's Rapid Pup going to be able to put himself? Nowhere too competitive. As did he invalidate his lap or something?
Lap, now that the track is drying. He must have invalidated because he was
2 seconds quicker than his current time.
Best time 145.
He would have had a 143.7, I'd say, which would have put him right around P3, P4. So it does appear that is going to be the qualifying session over and done with, ladies and gentlemen. HD Quickscopes will be in pole in the Williams. You love to see it. Big up the Williams boys. Followed by Lewis in the V-Carb /RB /Toro Rosso /Alpha Tauri /Sugar-Free Red Bull /Red Bull Money Laundering Team in P2. Followed by Rothwell in the Aston Martin Swagscopes in the tractor that is the Red Bull. Max Verstappen can attest to that. And the second sugar-free Red Bull in P5. So it is like you said, they seem to have a fairly balanced setup, and they've managed to both come here. Obviously, pole and P5, they have got excellent poise coming into the race, both in the top 10. Swagscopes in the Red Bull, fellow South African in P4. M Hawk in P5 in the sugar-free Red Bull, SCP Killer in the Alpine, Tom P in the Alpine. So the two drivers, teammates, right next to each other on the grid. O'Clark in the Kick Sauber, Bard in the Aston Martin, Browner SFC in the Mercedes, Crippington in the Scuderia Ferrari, Denny and Benny in the Haas, Sticker Lando in the Kick Sauber, the Rapid Pup falling off massively to P14 in the McLaren, Apex in the Haas, and I couldn't get the last few drivers. As we've got Indian Goat in the chat saying, "What is up, my guy? How you doing, man?" It is Shanghai. We just had a wet quali as we move on to the race now. It should be quite an interesting one, I believe.
What is surprising to me is the sheer amount of gap between P1, 2, and 3 and the rest of the field. P4 is 4/10 away in terms of their qualifying laps.
It is.
But we will see whether that equates to anything in the race.
That is the thing. You know, you can have good quali pace and not have very good race pace. And vice versa. Some people have both, but it's fairly rare to see. Indian Goat saying he may only be able to watch the first few laps. Well, your support is always appreciated, brother. And we are setting up to get away, and we are off. We're going board with HD Quickscopes for the formation lap. Ooh, Lewis with a bit of a nudge by the looks of it. Hopefully not a sign of things to come in the main race. And Barn obviously unable to make his formation lap. Neither is Denny and Benny. I suspect we may have had a false start, but I don't believe it'll be justifying a race restart. A few of the drivers now trying to get some heat into the tires. I believe every driver's opted for hards, with the exception of Rothwell, SCP Killer, Stick Lando, the Rapid Pup, are the only drivers opting for mediums. Everybody else going for a hard tire stint to begin with.
So this obviously means that people are going for a one-stop race. Everyone, or the majority of the field, will be going hards to mediums, and then a few people are going to be mediums try and make positions at the start, and then go to the hards and try and keep those positions that they gain until the end of the race. 2 people have not been able to do their formation lap, which, if I remember rightly, means that they will have colder tyres than everyone else when it comes to the race. So the Aston Martin and the Haas, we will have to watch out for those, because they will possibly struggle off the line and into the first 2 corners.
So it will be interesting to see if we have an incident on turn 1. It is a very tricky corner, especially going from that into turn 2. I suspect to see a little bit of argy-bargy and a little bit of wheel banging happening. Possibly a crash, and if we're lucky, we'll see a safety car. Lap 1 safety car could be huge.
It'll be interesting to see how that shakes the strategies up. The people on the hard tyres, will they go to the mediums and then maybe do a medium, or will they try and stick it out? What will the medium runners do? We will see.
Well, the medium runners may do what you did in Baku with that only safety car, swap to the hards and just make them work for the rest of the race.
It doesn't always work.
That is true. So a few drivers unable to find their box. Why are they side by side on the formation lap going through the hairpin? That is a good question. And it's lights out and away we go into turn 1 on board with HD Quickscopes. Gets a half-decent launch, but Lewis's is better as he looks to make a move on the inside, playing it safe, backing off slightly. Rothwell getting ahead. Can he keep the legs going through the outside and into the inside of turn 2? Ooh, side by side they go. Ooh, Rothwell losing the back end, is almost going to lose a position. He does. M. Hawk now in the sugar-free Red Bull getting ahead. P2 and P3 as we see a bit of movement happening in the middle of the field. The Rapid Pup moving up to P10. And Crippington managing to get an overtake on the Haas. Quite a lot of movement happening there. I hope it settles down so I can keep an eye on it as Denny and Benny makes a slight lunge for the inside. Very tight racing in the middle of the pack here. The Alpine has gone off, as well as the Scuderia Ferrari. They are both going to lose out massively as the Alpine makes a bit of contact with the Aston Martin. SCP Killer falls back to P13. And I think we should see it calm down a little bit now as Browner makes an overtake on Supermac. And we see some wreckage flying across the track. Who's taken damage? It appears that Scuderia Ferrari's taken damage. I believe it's Crippington. He is missing an end plate, possibly more. I couldn't quite tell. GK Facebot 5 seconds behind after the first lap. And looks like the Williams...
Interesting to note, on lap 1, both of the RBs, one of the RBs has kept his P2, the other one has made up positions to be P3. The RBs are looking really strong on this opening lap.
Are they going to be able to keep up with the absolute pace in the Williams of HD Quickscopes, though? That is the question. Is we saw Buddy picking up a 10-second penalty. He may be looking to get that appealed with the stewards as we see Elspons, who was named as one of the weaker drivers, getting an easy overtake on Buddy. Makes a bit of contact with the rear of Crippington. So seems to be struggling a little bit. 10-second penalty by the looks of it, I believe. We'll take a look. We'll put detail on for penalties. 10 seconds. I believe that may have been for contact, but I missed it. So we see a bit of a...
The 10-second penalty was for track limits for Buddy.
Oh my goodness.
So very interesting. He must have made some almighty corner cut somewhere to gain 10 seconds worth of penalty for track limits.
So we do see a few gaps opening up here and there. Obviously P9 falling back 2.5 seconds. McNamara falls back. He spun out. Unfortunately, drops 2 or 3 places, 4, 5, 6 places. He's faded entirely as Elspons now sets his sights on the McLaren. Tom P's lost out 3 places, I believe. Seems like a lot of struggling happening here and a few gaps. But Swag Scopes is able to sort of close the gap, and then he loses it in the corners. He might have a straight line speed car as Lewis makes an overtake on quick scopes, but he gets it right back. How's he done that then? How's he managed to overtake somebody with DRS? And Rothwell with a through goes Hamilton moment as we see the V-Carb and Williams going side by side. So Rothwell has managed to get past both of the sugar-free Red Bulls, as well as the Williams, and we see the Rapid Pup, who's moved up massively, starting all the way back in P13, now in P5. Melon in the chat saying, Alspons is by far the worst driver. Then riddle me this, why is he P18? That means there's at least 2 drivers worse than him.
Currently the driver with the fastest lap is P5, the McLaren, who is on those medium tyres. He's making them work. He's going to try and make some overtakes, especially down that back straight. I'm pretty sure of it.
We're coming into that back straight, but I think that Williams has a bit of pace, and M-Hawk goes off the track, now losing out massively, falls all the way down to P7.
I didn't see any contacts between him and the McLaren. I'm not sure whether there was maybe netcode issues, because it looked like he was just pushed off the track, or maybe he just lost control. I'm not sure.
He was side by side with the Haas. The Haas was looking like he was going to make a bit of a lunge into the corner, but it looks like he's played it safe. Now will fall back. Swag Scopes in P5. Fellow South African would like to see him on the podium.
Currently, the P1 and P4 started on the mediums. They are making those mediums work. P4 actually started P14. He's gained 10 positions. Very impressive stuff from the Rapid Pup.
Well, you see,
we did say he was quite quick.
I mean, he has already won the championship, and we're not even at the end of the season yet. He leads to second place of HD Quickscopes in the in the Williams by over 100 points currently. And
okay, so obviously he didn't really have much to prove, and I suppose it didn't really matter to him where he qualified. He's fast enough to catch.
What is going on with M-Hawk? He left the track again. Alspons picking up a 3-second and a 10-second penalty in the same lap. Alspons now has a drive-through due to a collision with the Mercedes. My good, yeah, I'm now fully believing everything that was said about him, and he has retired from the session on track. Would have liked to have seen that done in the pits.
It looks like he might have been disqualified, as opposed to just quitting out. I think he might have been disqualified.
That is unfortunate.
Which is why he wasn't able to get back to the pits.
How on earth has that happened, though?
We'll have to inquire. The stewards will have to have a look, figure out how that happened. It was something to do with a collision and a track limits penalty.
It all just happened so quickly, you know. It's really unfortunate to see. I'm very much a Williams fan, and Alspons not doing the Williams any justice. Whereas HD Quickscopes, on the other hand, is doing the Williams justice. He's racing beautifully with the sugar-free Red Bull. Is leaving space, not really just muscling his way in there. I love seeing a bit of clean racing, and even more so when a driver gets outsmarted without any contact needed. And I think he might be just trying to sort of bide his time until he feels comfortable to make a move. I have a feeling he's got the pace on the straights, so he'll probably easily get ahead of Lewis. He will have DRS, and Lewis will not. Melon in the chat says he's only in the league because they feel bad for him, obviously referencing Alspons. And point proven after I listed off all the penalties that Alspons managed to pick up in a single lap.
He managed to pick up 13 seconds and a drive-through penalty.
Ooh.
In one lap.
And just as I was talking about clean driving, there was a bit of contact between the Williams and the sugar-free Red Bull coming out of the second to last corner. They have managed to close the gap on that Sauber. So they'll be looking to try and fight up into those podium places, and Rothwell will be looking to fight for his life as the absolute madman that is the Rapid Pup looks to hunt him down with a mere 1.3 second gap. And closing by the looks of it down to a 1.2 now after that corner. Might see that change. Obviously, both the front runners are on medium tires. We'll have a quick look at the tires that everybody is on. 5-lap old hards and mediums for everybody, bar Buddy, who's on 2-lap old mediums. Not sure about that call there, but I believe he had wing damage. And 2 penalties so far, Browner SFC and Crippington. I was going to say both have 3-second penalties as Browner picks up a second 3-second penalty. And as we were saying, Rapid Pup now only 0.9 seconds, so if he can maintain that gap, he'll get DRS on the main straight.
Seems to be about 0.2 quicker in each sector. Rapid Pup, he's really gaining massively on Rothwell.
Ah, Rothwell, don't you want to be a man and just take him out into turn 1? Do the right thing.
The Williams goes very wide out of the final corner.
He's hunting down that Sauber. He wants his podium P3. As we see the sugar-free Red Bull trying to make a move on the inside. There was never any space there, but he took it anyway. And they are still side by side. Ghosting saved both of their races. The Williams not going to be...
dodgy move.
It was a bit dodgy, and obviously now that's cost them time with a massive gap to the Sauber now, as we see Quickscopes going wide. The sugar-free Red Bull of Lewis getting ahead of the Williams, but honorable mention to Swag Scopes. Die Zuid-Afrikaan. He will be looking to bide his time, let them battle it out, wait for a mistake, and then take the gap. I think that might be what he's doing.
We are getting to the point of the race where the medium tyres will lose their advantage and the hard tyres will start coming into their own. We should start to see the gap closing between Rothwell...
Safety car, we've got a VSC. Will it be a full safety car? We've got Browner looks to have spun into a wall in the second sector. So right where his teammate is coming past now appears to be where he crashed and got a DNF.
Will we see anyone, especially the medium runners, dive into the pits here?
It is only a VSC. It's not a full safety car by the looks of it.
There's still a bit of an advantage, but I don't think it's enough to warrant you pitting. The pit window is P16 for the medium runners. So there's still a little bit to go before they would want to look to diving into the pit lane.
Nobody taking the option to pit.
The Alpine pits, he appears to be the only person going into the pits.
SCP Killer, the only driver making a pit currently. And he will be going on to another set of mediums?
It's an interesting strategy. I assume people believe there will be a full safety car at some point, which is why they're staying out. And possibly why Scopes has gone for another set of mediums to then pit to the hards to the end after another safety car. Although Swag Scopes, the South African, has unfortunately got a penalty under the VSC.
Ah, that's got to be with the Delta. He's got a drive-through penalty, unfortunately. Melon, you seem more familiar with the league. This is our first time in it. Is it like a mandatory two-stopper? Or is it just use 2 compounds? Because I'm a little bit confused as to why SCP Killer pits it from mediums to mediums instead of hards.
Yeah. If I was in a situation, the Ferrari also pitted by the looks of it. He went from the hards to the mediums. Although he pitted on lap 2, actually. I can't believe I missed that. We're back underway. Racing resumes between the Williams and the RB.
the sugar-free
The
Red
RB is
Bull.
very close.
We've seen some very entertaining battles between the two, with a few chances being taken where there probably shouldn't have been. As we see the sugar-free Red Bull trying to take the inside line, but the Williams has the legs to get past, coming into turn 2 now. He'll be looking to break away, obviously trying to keep up with the Sauber of O'Clock, who's about 1.3 seconds ahead of the Williams. And obviously the second sugar-free Red Bull of M-Hawk has been fortunate enough to pick up a penalty, as well as Supermac in the Red Bull. Swag Scopes has fallen all the way down to P14, but he did have that drive-through penalty to serve. So he's gotten that out the way. But sadly has kind of ruined him a little bit. We've got Rapid Pop setting his sights on the Aston Martin of Rothwell. Ghosting isn't on, they're crashing. After the crash, Ghosting is on. Bring back Scummer. Looks competitive. Don't try and work it out. Some people, some special people in this league.
I've noticed that the RB and the Williams take a very different line into turn 1 and 2. It means that the Williams takes a wide line and cuts in. The RB goes on the inside line, which is not really the line you're supposed to take. It's not normally the quickest line, but it's how they keep colliding, because the RB takes such a tight line on that first corner.
Ooh, Williams was looking to defend the inside. Didn't have to, was able to get the optimal line. Going wide now. I think the V-Carb trying to make a cheeky move on the inside, but he doesn't have the pace coming out of the corner. I think he's taking...
showing me, explaining exactly what he's been doing the past few laps.
I suspect he's trying to get that inside line to try and make a move on the Williams. But he doesn't quite...
Going through the hairpin.
Just a little bit. Just a tip.
What this is doing is playing into the hands of Rothwell and the Rapid Pup. They are both miles ahead of the Kick Sauber, and I think they're not even really fighting each other. I think they just want to get away, get ahead, and then when they pit, they will have an advantage to the rest of the field.
Yeah, they'll be looking to pit in the next few laps for sure, and they'll probably want as much of a buffer as they can have.
They are still lapping about half a second faster than the Kick Sauber, so I think the virtual safety car has helped them keep life into the tyres.
And the sugar-free Red Bull of Lewis getting ahead of the Williams in the second to last corner. The Williams won't have much ERS to try and fight with. Neither does the sugar-free Red Bull. I think that's just what I'll call them from now on. No RB, no V-Carb. I'll just call them sugar-free Red Bull. I think that will be the move. Obviously, if you are just joining us, we've had 2 DNFs. One, I believe, was disqualified, Elspons, and Browner SFC, who I believe crashed a few laps ago. As,
Just looking down the field, everyone appears to be keeping a reasonable gap to each other. The only battle appears to be between P7, 8 and 9. Everyone else is sort of in their own, running their own races at the moment. The Alpine is currently setting the fastest laps, but that is the person who obviously pitted for the mediums for a second set of tyres. So he will need to pit again anyway, but he is setting some blisteringly fast lap times.
ooh, Rapid Pop and Rothwell have a slight exchange.
Looks like Rapid Pup has been saving his ERS for a while. I'm not sure how much ERS Rothwell has left.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's down to 10% as we finish off the fronts, the main straight. GK Phasebot picking up a 3-second time penalty. Spills has asked, can you stop missing the lead change, please?
We've decided to be like the Monaco TV broadcast.
That is our usual strategy. HD Quickscopes has fallen massively off the pace of the sugar-free Red Bull of Lewis.
Lewis is caught the the kick Sauber. I mean, for that third place, he's going to go for a podium, hopefully.
He's still trailing by about half a second.
Still, the closest battle appears to be between P7, 8, and 9. Although we want to keep an eye on the leaders as well. Rothwell is using his ERS in a very clever way to make sure that going down that back straight, he just has enough of a gap so that the Rapid Pup cannot make a move on him by the end of the straight.
Rapid Pup would have to get an amazing exit in the final corner. Oh, Rothwell has gone into the pits.
Diving into the pits, that's slightly early. But I believe the hard tyres will probably last till the end. And this will mean that he can get the undercut on Rapid Pup. Because he's pitting earlier than Rapid Pup, he will be able to hopefully get a good outlap, depending on where he comes out.
We've got a bit of a battle between the sugar-free Red Bull and the Sauber. As they make contact now, the sugar-free Red Bull going onto the grass. I suspect we may see a slight incident report for the stewards there.
Rothwell has filtered out into a gap just behind his teammates in P11. We will see. I'll keep an eye on the sector times to see whether he can set a good outlap.
So we've had a few other people box. We see Rippington currently coming out of the pits. And the only two drivers to have boxed that lap. Oh, Stick Lando also boxed that lap.
Rapid Pup is really setting a quick lap time now. He wants to try and get the overcut over the Aston Martin. He is pushing like crazy. A really fast first sector, a really fast second sector. He's probably going to dive it into the pits, and we'll have to keep an eye on to see where he comes out.
Or is he going to try and get the fastest lap on these tires and then pit? No, he is going straight into the pits now. It'll be interesting to see where he comes out and if he is going to be ahead of Rothwell. Obviously, he was slightly behind.
Rothwell coming around the second to last corner right now. This is going to be very close.
But currently, the Sauber sits pole.
The McLaren is coming out of the pits. It looks like he may have made it. Coming out just ahead of the Aston Martin. They're side by side going into the first corner.
Obviously, these two drivers are pretty much competing for P1 as the rest of the grid in front have yet to box. Got a few caution flags flying here and there, but nothing to write home about. We could see Rapid Pup potentially use this to his advantage. We saw him fight through the field with ease earlier, and it'll be interesting to see if Rothwell can manage the same.
It was a very impressive in-lap from Rapid Pup to be able to make time on the Aston Martin and get ahead of him, pitting a lap later than him. Got to try and carve his way through the slower cars who haven't pitted yet.
I think this could be what separates them.
There is a battle for the lead currently between the V-Carb and the Kick Sauber. The V-Carb has got ahead of the Kick Sauber.
As he dives into the pits.
Quite comfortably, he dives into the pits.
Rapid Pup now going wide slightly on that second to last corner, and we see a few more cars just ahead. Ooh, GK Phasebot apparently left the track, now trying to rejoin. Hopefully not impeding any drivers, but he might just be. As we've got, I believe, Supermac just behind him. And Rothwell has made an overtake on Rapid Pup. And going to get ahead of his
How are we
teammate
missing
with
all of the important
ease.
overtakes?
Ooh, but could we see
Rothwell.
Bond potentially try and defend and slow Rapid Pup down? It would be nice to see some teamwork, and Rothwell managed to get away.
Rothwell is playing it very smart, putting his teammate in between him and Rapid Pup.
And we do see a slight
It's
gap
really playing
forming,
into
almost
his
up to a
lead.
second now.
Barn is defending from the McLaren. The team game is being played at the moment.
You do love to see it. Coming down
Rothwell is
straight
doing
though.
exactly everything he needs to do to keep that race lead.
And Rapid Pup is able to pass him on the back straight there. But now
Rothwell
has
gets
other
past-
traffic to deal with. As obviously
he gets
Rothwell...
past the sugar-free Red Bull. This is the battle for
P1 essentially between Rapid Pup and Rothwell.
a few more people diving into the pits. This is the sort of the period of time. This is the optimum pit lap if you are on the hard tyres.
Few drivers have opted to stay out, Quickscopes and Supermac. Both on 15-lap-old hards, along with Apex, M-Hawk, and Tom P. Swagscopes McNamara. And Buddy will probably be looking to make a pit stop soon with 12-lap-old mediums. And GK Phasebot, interesting strategy, going for the softs. Could we see a fastest lap attempt?
Looking at Rapid Pup, he's really struggling to get past the Haas. The Haas running some of the lowest wings I think we've seen, which is really not helping the McLaren's progress, because on the straights, the Haas will be the quickest thing down the straight.
And he can probably do a fairly decent job at defending without needing too much ERS, as he picks up a 3-second time penalty. But Rapid Pup gets an amazing exit, has the DRS down the straight, is going to get past with ease. And the Haas now trying to optimize the slipstream from the McLaren. That's a smart move. I should start doing that sometimes.
Yeah, instead of just, driving into the back of them, just stick within the slipstream.
Yeah, but it was team orders. You know what it's like.
The Haas going very wide into the final corner. I think he should be pitting as soon as possible, really. I don't think he's enjoying those hards at all.
The sugar-free Red Bull of Lewis sets our new fastest lap.
People are making the medium tyres work very well for them. But Rothwell has the lead, well, the net race lead. Supermac will need to pit, and I'm pretty sure Rothwell will get past him before then anyway.
I suspect you'll be right, and Rapid Pup has his work cut out for him, currently trailing by 1.6 seconds. Needs to make up 6/10 to get within DRS of Rothwell. But Rothwell will be looking to make the most of the next DRS zone. Rapid Pup, in just a couple corners, has managed to close that gap by 0.3.
See, Rothwell, with the fresher tyres, is having a much better line through the corners, but he's not able to get past the Red Bull. There's just no space for him. He's got to try and make the move stick now, especially with Rapid Pup now in the DRS range.
That Red Bull did a great job at slowing the Aston Martin down. I'm sure Rapid Pup will be ecstatic about that as we see the Aston get the overtake. And we'll probably see the Red Bull make a dive for the pits as we see a little bit of ghosting happening there. And there it is. The Red Bull has gone to the pits, and we rejoin the exciting battle for P1 between the Rapid Pup and Rothwell. And M. Hawk and the sugar-free Red Bull. So every position, I believe, will now be, barring M Hawk and Tom P and a handful of other drivers who have yet to stop. I believe Apex is diving into the pits now. McNamara still has yet to pit, as well as P3 and 4. They could be
It's a
trying to
very
hold
interesting
out.
strategy from P3, 4, and P11. They all appear to be, oh, P12, I mean, they all appear to be staying out on those hard tyres. I'm not sure whether they are waiting for a safety car or whether they're going to go softs to the end, which is a very odd choice. I'm not sure whether it's going to play out for them, but it makes the strategies way more interesting. As we look, the battle for the lead is getting more and more intense with every corner. Rothwell getting a reasonable exit onto the straight. He uses ZRS perfectly going down that back straight.
He was
Pup just
catching
does
before he
not
even had the
have.
DRS, and he's going to get the pass easily. Obviously, the Aston Martin moved over slightly to try and compromise his line. Could we see a switchback? Doesn't get
Power
the.
of the RS.
He didn't quite get the
Oh,
traction he needed on the exit, otherwise, he would have had it.
I was going to say the power of the ERS in F124. You're able to catch up from so far back. Rapid Pup making a mistake in the exit of the final turn, meaning that Rothwell retakes the lead. This will be a battle to the end. I'm sure of it.
Oh, no. No
You're
safety
so
car.
hoping for a safety
I
car.
really am. It just levels the playing field, and at the moment, there's some massive gaps that I'd love to see get closed.
There's some really strange strategies going on. I'm sure people are just waiting for a safety car to come out to neutralize the race and to mean that they will be on the optimum tires to the end, but I'm not sure if the strategy is going to play out.
Interesting racing line from the Rapid Pup there, who went completely off track, but I don't think he gained any time by doing it, so he won't pick up a penalty.
The game is very strange in the way that if you go completely off the track and then rejoin, you will not get a penalty, but if you go ever so slightly off, you will get a warning and a penalty. Pup, with a massive straight line speed advantage, retakes the lead. Rothwell will try and take him back on the next DRS straight. He knows that Rapid Pup is not the best around the final corner.
He managed to get a fairly decent exit and a somewhat decent run, but it's not going to be enough as they go too wide. Slight contact happening there between the two drivers. Nothing to write home about, just a little bit of friendly hello butt squeezing.
And the V-Carb, the sugar-free Red Bull, has finally pitted from those hard tyres.
Oh, M Hawk
I
finally
see.
diving into the pits. So, barring a safety car, I believe this is what the grid will look like in 8 laps' time when we end.
The closest battle on the field, apart from the lead, is for P7 and 8. You've got the South African in the Red Bull fighting with the Haas.
It's the Haas and the
No,
Williams, P5 and
Haas
6.
and the Williams. I don't know how I saw that wrong on the screen.
And then we've got the Kick Sauber and the sugar-free Red Bull. Could potentially fight for P3, but obviously Denny and Benny in the Haas knows that the Williams has a time penalty. Probably won't be looking to overtake. If he knows that that is a quicker driver, he'll use the DRS to his advantage.
He just needs to stick behind him and he will get that position by the end of the race.
But could we see he's not really close enough to make a move? What gear would you say you'd take that second to last corner in?
You mean the hairpin?
Yeah, the super tight right-hander in Sector 3.
It's difficult because if you run medium or no traction control, it's normally third gear, I would say. But if you're running full TC, it's probably second gear. I mean, a medium TC might be second gear as well, but you've just got to be really careful on the exit. There is a yellow flag, but it doesn't seem to have caused anything.
No, but there seems to be like just little battles that could potentially take place, like P3 and 4, also 1 and 2, with like a slight gap between two drivers. There's a handful of those across the grid, but then obviously you've got P17 and 18, who have both been lapped by just about everybody on the field, a full minute and 24 seconds behind this P16 driver, Stickerlando.
You probably remember very fondly of what it's been like being lapped in a league race.
Yeah. Yeah. It hasn't happened in a while, though. I've gotten quicker.
Or has everyone else gotten slower?
Traditionally, that doesn't happen. I've definitely gotten quicker. I can tell by my time trial times, alright? Considering I currently still am quicker than you in Baku.
Yeah, you're going to hold that one over me for a long time, I can feel it.
Ever. Sugar-free Red Bull moving up to P3. Ooh, we could see another move being made here. And I think we'll see Rothwell either fade slightly. We've got a safety car for P18. Might have left the track briefly there.
Oh, you said safety car.
I meant yellow flag. Stupid me. It's been a long day.
It's okay. Just I freaked out then because I couldn't see it on my screen.
I'm trying to wish it into happening. I'm trying to let the universe know. Do we see another yellow flag?
I think that was Super Mac. Is
and
off the
another
track,
one.
Unfortunately. Yeah, Super Mac losing positions. He was off the track. The South African is starting to struggle in the latter stages of this race.
Must be the water. As we saw a position change, P3 being snatched back by the Sauber. Could we see another switch happen by the sugar-free Red Bull as we keep an eye out? Obviously, P1 and 2 is the main battle to keep an eye out on. But the sugar-free Red Bull going to take a move for the outside. Is able to do it, get ahead into the corner, hits the apex, goes a little bit wide. But cuts it back in beautifully coming to turn 2 now. The Sauber saying, hello, I'm still here. And position change, P13 and 14. Swag Scopes and Crippington. And the Sauber now making a move on the outside. Is he going to have the legs to complete it? He is not as he goes off the track. Picking up a 3-second time penalty, I believe he'll be able to appeal that one. He may have been slightly forced off the track by the sugar-free Red Bull. And we've got a yellow flag now, thanks to the Mercedes of GK Phasebot. Seems to be spending about as much time off the track as on the track at this point. And the Sauber making another pass on the sugar-free Red Bull.
Looks like the Rapid Pup might have the legs on Rothwell. He gets very close down the back straight, but I'm not sure if he's close enough.
Nah, he's not going to be able to make a move unless he makes a massive lunge. Almost makes contact with the rear of the McLaren. Is he going to get a good enough exit on turn 1?
Sector 3, another yellow flag briefly.
And GK Phasebot has now retired in the pits. Both Mercedes drivers now out of the race. The Rapid Pump is defending beautifully at the moment, able to keep the Aston Martin of Rothwell at bay, but obviously this is why he is the champion. SCP Killer, the latest to pick up a time penalty. We'll take a brief look at those, see the totals of what we've got. O'Clock with his 3-second, then I believe he'll be able to get appealed and will be able to retain P3. HD Quickscopes with a 3-second. Tom P, Apex, and McNamara all with 3-second penalties. M Hawk, SCP Killer, Super Mac, and Crippington all with 6-second penalties. What's the ERS? Currently, the Rapid Pup sitting at a comfortable 98%, with Rothwell at a dismal 20%, so Rapid Pup could actually let him take the overtake here in the DRS zone, and he would be able to get the overtake on the next straight, provided he keeps it clean and tidy and gets a good exit in the final corner.
See, Rapid Pup is he's playing the game that Rothwell was playing so well at the beginning of the race. Rapid Pup is able to save his ERS in so many parts of the lap that whenever Rothwell tries to overtake, he just presses the overtake. Rapid Pup presses the overtake button and is able to keep the position quite easily. He might be able to hold on to this unless Rothwell has any other strategy he can play.
With only 4 laps to go, I don't think it's even that either driver is necessarily slow. I just think that Rapid Pup's got a better strategy while being in P1, and he just seems to be able to hold on.
The ERS management is definitely keeping him in P1. It's incredibly impressive, although Rothwell does appear to be struggling a bit. His laps are only a lap older than Rapid Pup. I'm not sure whether it's giving him any sort of problems that they are now getting to about a reasonable tire amount of tire wear.
I believe 11 and 12 lap old hards, and then we've got a few people on some fairly old mediums. We could potentially see a crash from them. Obviously the Sauber and sugar-free Red Bull. Red Bull money laundering team.
I've just noticed Super Mac in the Red Bull
in P13 currently.
Carpington have both gone on to the soft tyres. I assume they're going to try and get a fastest lap, or I'm not sure what their strategy is, but the Ferrari is definitely flying along on those soft tyres. I'm not sure what the fastest lap gets you in this league, and even if you're able to claim it if you're down in P15, but it's definitely an interesting strategy.
Anybody in the chat currently watching, where do the points stop? Which position? Because I know in some leagues it's true to Formula 1 where it stops at P10, but other leagues, like the one that myself and my co-commentator race in, goes up to P15. P10, alright.
That just makes it even more confusing.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Let's go back to the gap between the leaders is still very close. Despite everything, Rothwell is still hanging in there, hoping for an opportunity, praying for an opportunity to be able to get past that McLaren.
There's still a gap of 0.6.
You need about 0.4 going onto the back straight to be able to make an overtake.
And it looks like he might try and do it here as he's dumping. Oh, he's making a move for the outside line. Slight lunge, is able to get ahead. But obviously Rapid Pup going to have the ERS on the next sector. And obviously Rothwell.
Overtake for Rothwell.
But he's burned all of his ERS though.
Doesn't have any ERS to defend.
But I think he'll be able to get the pace to stay ahead coming into turn 1. So he kind of bided his time and he's managed to get ahead, but whether or not he'll be able to retain it, he needs to try and build up as much of that ERS as possible.
I think he's trying to play the game of being in P1 on the second to last lap.
And then he'll be P2.
On the final lap, he will be P2 and he will get the DRS to be able to attack on the second to last corner of the final lap. This could be a big brains trap from the Aston Martin driver.
I would love to see that happen, but I have a feeling he might try and defend on the back straight, which if he can do the same thing that obviously the Rapid Pup did to him for a good portion of the race, rather, then I suspect he'll have it in the bag. But it's whether or not he's planning on doing that or taking the risk, giving up P1, and then attempting for an overtake on the final lap. He seems to be dumping his battery.
He's got enough of a gap going on to the down the back straight to be able to hang on to that P1. It looks like he's doing quite a good job of saving his ERS when he needs it, which he's been doing throughout the whole race. Will he have enough for the final lap? I'm not sure.
Trippington, the latest to pick up a 3-second penalties. Loads of penalties on the grid, on the board there. And we've got a bit of a battle happening here between P3 and 4. Lewis and O'Clock coming into the final corner now. Keeping an eye on the split time for P1 just in case there is an overtake happening there. But we see O'Clock making an easy pass on the sugar-free Red Bull of Lewis, who I would love to see get that P3 position. I feel emotionally invested into his race now. Been here from the start since the wets in qualifying.
The gap is so close between P1 and P2. It's impossible to tell who will keep the win, who will be able to take the win, I should say.
So obviously he didn't let the pass happen, did he? He defended. Now he has to do defending number 2, Electric Boogaloo, down the main straight on the final lap.
How much ERS does Rapid Pup have?
Rothwell's got 70. Rapid Pup has 80. Both dumping now down the main straight as we see McNamara fighting desperately to not get left by the front runners. And we see Rapid Pup make a move for the inside, is able to get ahead. Could we see a switchback attempt? He's got the exit. They are side by side. A little bit of contact happening. Rapid Pup goes off onto the grass. Looking to take the inside line. Who's going to have the better exit and the DRS? It looks like Rapid Pup.
Rapid Pup takes the win, followed by Rothwell. That was interesting. Let's look at P3. Who's going to get P3?
P3 will be the Sauber. Obviously, he's got that penalty, but I believe he'll be able to appeal that, as we're able to catch it on
P5 as well, brewing
P5.
between the Williams and the Alpine.
The Williams will be taking that home, as both drivers had similar penalties.
Only just to the line.
And your winner here in Shanghai, round 24, is the Rapid Pup. Amazing drive. We saw him battle down to the line. And some amazing defense strategies and ERS management. That's why he's the GOAT.
Yeah, there was a few dodgy moves by the Aston Martin. Some sort of flicks to the left, flicks to the right in terms of defense, which it was definitely a last-ditch attempt to keep the McLaren behind, but it didn't work. Into the final corner, Rapid Pup was able to make the move stick, not push the Aston Martin off of the track. So it was a fair overtake, and getting the DRS to the line was what gave him the win.
So there you have it. Your grid is as follows. The Rapid Pup, Rothwell, Lewis, O'Clock, Denny and Benny, HD Quickscopes, Tom B, Barn, M Hawk, Apex, SCP Killer, Supermac, and that's all I could read before it cut me off. But your winner this evening is the Rapid Pup, currently already champion and driver of the day. That is right, he started in P14. It was either 13 or 14. Massive gains from him and able to defend against the McLaren.
The Rapid Pup domination has already bored fans.
That is what is on the cards. As he lifts the trophy here in Shanghai, McLaren will be happy about that race win.
An honourable mention to the Haas in P5, finished P5, started P12. That was another very, very rapid move through the field. P5 of Denny and Benny, very impressive, starting P12, finishing P5.
So here we have the grid. Rapid Pup, Rothwell, Lewis, O'Clark, Denny and Benny, HD Quickscopes, Tom P, Barn 94, M Hawk, Apex, SCP Killer, Super Mac, Stickerlando, Crippington, McNamara, Swag Scopes 97, Buddy, GK Fusebot, Browner SFC, and Alspons. Thank you very much, everybody who has tuned in this evening. It has been an absolute cracker of a race here in Shanghai, and the Rapid Pup giving a first-hand demonstration of why he's the GOAT and why he leads the championship by over 100 points as he extends that lead further. HD Quickscopes was unable to make any inroads to the gap, as obviously Rothwell took up that P2 position, but I think a few penalties may be appealed and could possibly see some position changes after the FIA has a look at the penalties. But thank you everybody for watching. I've been Scones and you guys have all been great. I hope you all have a lovely evening.